Who's pregnant? A cat's
You
pregnant?
should house Eli with her
Yeah.
so that he can figure out what's going on. And howdy, everyone. Welcome to the Word, Praise, and Wisdom number 55. Howdy, Lynn. Howdy, Gwen.
Hey,
Hey. Howdy, Matt.
Hey.
Who do we have? Howdy, April. Howdy, GR. And I think that's it for now. So we are continuing in the Apocrypha, which, if you're looking online, you can go here and find the book that we'll be reading in, which is called Ecclesiasticus. If you have a different Apocrypha, like a Goodspeed or one of the other books, the Septuagint, that has it, it may be called Sirach or the Wisdom of Sirach. So we're going through 41, 42, 43, 44, and 45 today. Someone echoing? Someone have a chat on? Okay. Anyways, let's go ahead and pray in, and then we will get rolling. Father, thank you very much for bringing us together today for this fellowship of communion, whereby we are gathered together in your Son's name. And we thank you for that. And we ask your blessing on this reading, that you give everybody the wisdom that you need them to have from this. And we just ask for you to, just give us the wisdom and discernment to be able to tell what we're reading and how it fits in with this walk that we're on. We ask your blessing on people, your protection on people that are being forced to travel and relocate today. And also for those that are sick, we would ask your healing touch on them. And we thank you for that. And thank you for all the deliverances that you've given us. All praise and glory to you, Father. Thank you in Jesus Yeshua's name. Amen. All righty. What are we doing here? Oh, that's right. We're reading this right here, Ecclesiasticus chapter 41. All right. O death, how bitter is the remembrance of thee to a man that liveth at rest in his possessions, unto the man that hath nothing to vex him, and that hath prosperity in all things, yea, unto him that is yet able to receive meat. O death, acceptable is thy sentence unto the needy, and unto him whose strength faileth, that is now in the last age, and is vexed with all things, and to him that despaireth and hath lost patience. Fear not the sentence of death. Remember them that have been before thee and that come after thee. For this is the sentence of the Lord over all flesh. And why art thou against the pleasure of the Most High? There is no inquisition in the grave, whether thou have lived 10 or 100 or 1,000 years. The children of sinners are abominable children, and they that are conversant in the dwelling of the ungodly. The inheritance of sinners' children shall perish, and their posterity shall have a perpetual reproach. The children will complain of an ungodly father, because they shall be reproached for his sake. Woe be unto you, ungodly men, which have forsaken the law of the Most High God. For if ye increase, it shall be to your destruction. And if ye be born, ye shall be born to a curse. And if you die, a curse shall be your portion. All that are of the earth shall turn to earth again. So the ungodly shall go from a curse to destruction. The mourning of men is about their bodies, but an ill name of sinners shall be blotted out. Have regard to thy name, for that shall continue with thee above 1,000 great treasures of gold. A good life hath but few days, but a good name endureth forever. My children, keep discipline in peace, for wisdom that is hid, and a treasure that is not seen. What profit is in them both? Verse 15. A man that hideth his foolishness is better than a man that hideth his wisdom. Therefore, be shamefaced according to my word, for it is not good to retain all shamefacedness, neither is it altogether approved in everything. Be ashamed of whoredom before father and mother, and of a lie before a prince and a mighty man, of an offense before a judge and ruler, of iniquity before a congregation and people, of unjust dealing before thy partner and friend, and of theft in regard of the place where thou sojournest, and in regard of the truth of God and his covenant, and to lean with thine elbow upon the meat, and of scorning to give and take, and of silence before them that salute thee, and to look upon an harlot, and to turn away thy face from thy kinsman, or to take away a portion or a gift, or to gaze upon another man's wife, or to be over busy with his maid and come not near her bed, or of upbraiding speeches before friends, and after thou hast given, upbraid not, or if or of iterating and speaking again that which thou hast heard, and of revealing of secrets. So shalt thou be truly shamefaced and find favor before all men.
Chapter 42. Of these things be not thou ashamed, and accept no person to sin thereby. Of the law of the Most High and his covenant, and of judgment to justify the ungodly. Of reckoning with thy partners and travelers, or of the gift of the heritage of friends. Of exactness of balance and weights, or of getting much or little. And of the merchants' indifferent selling, of much correction of children, and to make the side of an evil servant to bleed. Sure keeping is good where an evil wife is, and shut up where many hands are. Deliver all things in number and weight, and put all in writing that thou givest out, or receivest in. Be not ashamed to inform the unwise and foolish, and the extreme aged that contendeth with thee that are young. Thus shalt thou be truly learned, and approved of all men living. The father waketh for the daughter when no man knoweth, and the care for her taketh away sleep. When she is young, lest she pass away the flower of her age, and being married, lest she should be hated. In her virginity, lest she be defiled and gotten with child in her father's house. And having an husband, lest she should misbehave herself. And when she is married, lest she should be barren. Keep a sure watch over a shameless daughter, lest she make thee a laughing stock to thine enemies, and a byword in the city, and a reproach among the people, and make thee ashamed before the multitude. Behold, not everybody's beauty, and sit not in the midst of women. For from garments cometh a moth, and from women wickedness. Better is the churlishness of a man than a courteous woman. A woman, I say, which bringeth shame and reproach. I will now remember the works of the Lord, and declare the things that I have seen. In the words of the Lord are his works. The sun that giveth light looketh upon all things, and the work thereof is full of glory of the Lord. The Lord hath not given power to the saints to declare all his marvelous works, which the Almighty Lord firmly settled, that whatsoever is might be established for his glory. 18. He seeketh out the deep and the heart, and considereth their crafty devices. For the Lord knoweth all that may be known, and he beholdeth the signs of the world. He declareth the things that are past, and for to come, and revealeth the steps of hidden things. No thought escapeth him, neither any word is hidden from him. He hath garnished the excellent works of his wisdom, and he is from everlasting to everlasting. Unto him may nothing be added, neither can he be diminished, and he hath no need of any counselor. Oh, how desirable are all his works, and that a man may see even to a spark. All these things live and remain forever for all uses, and they are all obedient. All things are double, one against another, and he hath made nothing imperfect. One thing established the good or another, and who shall be filled with beholding his glory?
The pride of height and the clear firmament and the beauty of heaven, with his glorious show, the sun when it appears, declaring at his rising a marvelous instrument, the work of El Elonan. At noon it purges the country, and who can abide the burning heat thereof? A man blowing a furnace is in works of heat, but the sun burns the mountains 3 times more, breathing out fiery vapors and sending forth bright beams. It dims the eyes. Great is Yahuwah that made it, and his commandment runs hastily. He made the moon also to serve in her season for the declaration of times and a sign of the world. From the moon, the sign of the feasts, the light that decreases in her perfection. The month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven. The beauty of heaven, the glory of the stars, an ornament, giving light in the highest places of Yahuwah. At the commandment of the Holy One, they will stand in their order, never faint in their watches. Look upon the rainbow and praise him that made it. Very beautiful it is in the brightness thereof. It compasses the heaven above with glorious circle, and the hands of El Elonan have bended it. By his commandment, he makes the snow to fall apace, and sends swiftly the lightnings of his judgment. Through these treasures are open, and the clouds fly forth as fowls. By his great power he makes the clouds firm, and the hailstones are broken small. At his sight the mountains are shaken, and his will the south wind blows. The noise of the thunder makes the earth to tremble. So does the northern storm and the whirlwind. As the birds flying, he scatters the snow, and the falling down thereof is as the light of grasshoppers. The eye marvels at the beauty of the whiteness thereof, and the heart is astonished at the raining of it. The hoarfrost also as salt he pours on earth, and being concealed it lies on the top of sharp stakes. When the cold north wind blows and the water congealed into ice, it abides upon every gathering together of water. The close of the water and close the water as with a breastplate. It devours the mountains and burns the wilderness and consumes the grass as fire. A present remedy of all is the mists coming speedily, a dew coming after heat refreshes. By his counsel he appeases the deep, and the plants islands therein. They that sail on the sea tell of the danger thereof, and when he hear it with our ears, we marvel thereat. For therein be a strange wondrous works, variety of all kinds of beasts and sea monsters created. By him the end of them has prosperous success, and by his word all things consist. We may speak much, and yet come short, wherefore in sum he is all. How shall we be able to magnify him? For he is great above all his works. Yahuwah is terrible and very great and marvelous in his power. When ye glorify Yahuwah, exalt him as much as you can, for even yet will he far exceed. And when ye exalt him, put forth all your strength, and be not weary, for ye can never go far enough. Who has seen him that he might tell us that who can magnify him as he is? There are yet hid greater things than these be, for we have seen but a few of his works. For Yahuwah has made all things, and to the righteous he has given wisdom.
Chapter 44. Let us now praise famous men
and our fathers that begat us. Yahuwah has wrought great glory by them through his great power from the beginning. Such as did bear rule in their kingdoms, men renowned for their power, giving counsel by their understanding and declaring prophecies. Leaders of the people by their counsels and by their knowledge of learning meet for the people. Wise and eloquent in their instructions, such as found out musical tunes and recited verses and writings. Rich men furnished with ability, living peaceably in their habitations. All these were honored in their generations and were the glory of their times. There be of them that have left a name behind them, that their praises might be reported, and some there be which have no memorial, who are perished as though they had never been, and are become as though that they had never been born, and their children after them. But these were merciful men, whose righteousness has not been forgotten. With their seed shall continually remain a good inheritance, and their children are within the covenant. Their seed stand fast, and their children for their sakes. Their seed shall remain forever, and their glory shall not be blotted out. Their bodies are buried in peace, but their names live forevermore. The people will tell of their wisdom, and the assembly will show forth their praise. Enoch pleased Yahuwah, and was translated, being an example of repentance to all generations. Noah was found perfect and righteous. In the time of wrath, he was taken in exchange for the world. Therefore was he left as a remnant unto the earth when the flood came. An everlasting covenant was made with him, and all flesh should perish no more by the flood. Abraham was a great father of many people. In glory was there none like unto him, who kept the Torah of El Elyon, and was in covenant with him. He established the covenant in his flesh, and when he was proved, he was found faithful. Therefore he has assured him by an oath that he would bless the nations in his seed, and that he would multiply him as the dust of the earth, and exalt his seed as the stars, and cause them to inherit from sea to sea, and from river unto the utmost part of the land. With Yishkov did he establish likewise for Abraham his father's sake the blessing of all men, and the covenant, and made it rest upon the head of Yaakov. He acknowledged him in his blessings, and gave him a heritage, and divided his portions among the 12 tribes did he part them.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 45. And he brought out of him a merciful man, which found favor in the sight of all flesh, even Moses, beloved of God and men, whose memorial is blessed. He made him like to the glorious saints, and magnified him, so that his enemies stood in fear of him. By his words he caused the wonders to cease, and he made him glorious in the sight of kings, and gave him a commandment for his people, and showed him part of his glory. He sanctified him in his faithfulness and meekness, and chose him out of all men. He made him to hear his voice, and brought him into the dark cloud, and gave him commandments before his face, even the law of life and knowledge, that he might teach Jacob his covenants, and Israel his judgments. He exalted Aaron, an holy man like unto him, even his brother of the tribe of Levi. An everlasting covenant he made with him, and gave him the priesthood among the people. He beautified him with comely ornaments, and clothed him with a robe of glory. He put upon him perfect glory, and strengthened him with rich garments, with breeches, with a long robe, and the ephod. And he compassed him with pomegranates, and with many golden bells round about, that as he went there might be a sound, and a noise made that might be heard in the temple, for a memorial to the children of his people. With an holy garment, with gold and blue silk, and purple, the work of the embroiderer, with a breastplate of judgment, and with Urim and Thummim, verse 11, with twisted scarlet, the work of cunning workmen, the precious stones graven like seals and set in gold, the work of the jeweler, with a writing engraved for memorial, after the number of the tribes of Israel. He set a crown of gold upon the mitre, wherein was engraved holiness, an ornament of honor, a costly work, the desires of the eyes, goodly and beautiful. Before him there were none such, neither did ever any stranger put them on, but only his children and his children's children perpetually. Their sacrifices will be wholly consumed every day, twice, continually. Moses consecrated him and anointed him with holy oil. This was appointed unto him by an everlasting covenant, and to his seed, so long as the heavens should remain, that they should minister unto him and execute the office of the priesthood and bless the people in his name. He chose him out of all men living to offer sacrifices to the Lord, incense and a sweet savor for a memorial, to make reconciliation for his people. He gave unto him his commandments and authority in the statutes of judgments, that he should teach Jacob the testimonies and inform Israel of his laws. Strangers conspired together against him and maligned him in the wilderness, even the men that were of Dathan and Abiram's side, and the congregation of Korah, with fury and wrath. This the Lord saw, and it displeased him, and in his wrathful indignation were they consumed. He did wonders upon them, to consume them with a fiery flame, the fiery flame. But he made Aaron more honorable, and gave him an heritage, and divided unto him the first fruits of the increase. Especially he prepared bread in abundance. For they eat of the sacrifices of the Lord, which he gave unto him and his seed. Howbeit, in the land of the people he had no inheritance, neither had he any portion among the people. For the Lord himself is his portion and his inheritance. The third in glory is Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, because he had zeal in the fear of the Lord, and stood up with good courage of heart, when the people were turned back and made reconciliation for Israel. Therefore was there a covenant of peace made with him, that he should be the chief of the sanctuary and of his people, and that he and his posterity should have the dignity of the priesthood forever. According to the covenant made with David, son of Jesse, of the tribe of Judah, that the inheritance of the king should be to his posterity alone, and so the inheritance of Aaron should also be unto his seed. God give you wisdom in your heart to judge his people in righteousness, that their good things be not abolished, and that their glory may endure forever. All righty. Let's go back to 41, shall we? This no working.
Not working?
There we go. Mine wasn't. My clicker wasn't working. I was taking a vacation.
My page turner worked really good.
Right? I know they do. And that. So, what do you have from chapter 41? Talk to me. Talk to me.
What? I don't have anything until verse 8.
Okay, what do you have?
Well, it's just very interesting, just kind of popped out to me. Because you forsaken the law of the Most High, even if you have increase, it's just going to be to your destruction. It's pretty interesting anyway. It just kind of jumped out at me, that verse.
Trespassers in the yard. All right. Anyway. Okay. What about after 8? What do you have? Anybody? Anything?
I have backing up a little bit.
Welcome back, Gwen.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways,
I had to, anyways, I was processing. Okay, so the phrase of, hang on. Okay, well, it's the end of verse 3,
okay.
and then verse 4. For this is the sentence of Yahuwah over all flesh. So it doesn't really matter. It's the sentence over all flesh. And why are you against the pleasure of El Elyonon? There is no inquisition in Sheol, whether you have lived 10, 100, or 1,000 years. I think it's kind of like a testament to, or, some people feel like I'm running out of time, or I don't have enough time, or I'm too young, or I'm too old, or it doesn't really matter where you're at, like, so I like the phrasing of like there is no inquisition in Sheol, whether you've lived a few years or a lot of years. It's just how you've lived those years. So,
But
anyway.
also, too, dead is dead.
Right. By the time you get to the grave, it's all done with. So
The grave has no respect.
Yeah, it's how you live your life whether it's 10 years, like how you've lived those 10 years, how you've lived, that kind of thing.
That's right.
Because I was thinking about like how, just to go on a little bit, like as an example, like my kids are 12 and 14. And then you have other kids, like I took them camping the other day and I was listening. You can hear other kids playing and stuff, and sound comes off the water really well. And these other kids, you can hear them, the things that they're saying, and just cursing, and the way that they're playing with each other and stuff. And I think about how, yes, it is how kids are raised and stuff, but it doesn't really matter too much how young you are. You still have your ability to communicate and to have a conscience and to be considerate, or to be, tolerant or sensitive to what's going on around you. And so when I think about whether you've lived 10 years, because I was discussing this with someone about, some kids do this and some kids do that. I think it really depends on what is inside the kid, even if they've been raised in a difficult situation. Like some have something extra in them that cause them to have a bit more of a conscience, and that, I think that's unique. So feeding that, anyway, I don't know, it was a discussion I was having yesterday with someone about,
I believe that goes down to what it's talking about a little bit later. What is it? Where'd it go?
14?
Oh, you were talking about 8, Lynn, right? Those that forsake the law, but it talks about, where is it? I could have sworn this was talking about the children of the ungodly men or something.
Oh, yeah.
The children of are abominable children, and they that are conversant in the dwelling of the ungodly.
Right. In that.
That's 5.
Okay, so it's up higher. All right. In that, but then it goes into, the people that have the good name.
Oh, it's better to have a good name, yeah.
And it doesn't matter when you die, because everybody, like it says up above, everybody dies, but a good name will be remembered.
Yeah.
And that kind of sets the theme for the rest of the reading, sort of. In the last part of this, talking about basically, like in 15, the man that hides his foolishness is better than a man that hides wisdom. And then it goes on about all these things people do that are shameful, hide that. Think you're stupid somewhere else. Go do it somewhere else.
Yeah. To just be aware, I think being consciously aware, because like it was phenomenal how some of these adults slash um, children, like even if they weren't connected, like just how much you could see, um, like the lack of consideration for other humans that were around them and how they were behaving. Like there's like this massive brazenness. Like these two boys. Well, there's one boy. He was screaming for his mother, and he was, I don't know, maybe he was 7. And I'm thinking, okay, this boy's lost. And I wasn't feeling all that great at the moment, so I was just watching and waiting to see if it was just him just getting disoriented. But then a woman in front of me stood up and she kind of intercepted the boy, and then she walked around and disappeared, and then she came back with another boy, and it was his twin. And I could overhear her saying, just let's sit here and see if we can find mom in a little bit. And I got up at that point to help her. And these two boys were maybe about 7 years old, didn't know very much. All they know is that they went into the change room beside their mom. They came out and their mom was gone. And this had been 20 minutes now. And then me and this other woman decided to comb the beach together to find mom and grandma. And then suddenly they seen their dad. And dad just turned around and said, okay, we're going to the water now. And there was no anything inside of him, no concern or worry. Now it had gone 40 minutes, these boys by themselves, not knowing where their parents were and screaming. And mom didn't even bother getting up and acknowledging the boys at all. And here these two boys, I could tell, they seemed soft. And I know this seems like it's off the trail, but it's not, I don't think. These boys seemed soft. They didn't seem hard. They didn't seem brazen. They still seemed very tender. It's almost like some kids, like no one can come to the Father except Abba draw them, right? So yeah,
Right.
you might have parents that are full on callous sinners, but I felt that these two boys, there was something unique about these two little boys. And I just prayed that, somebody would come into their life and continue to try to help navigate them towards Abba. But anyway, just how, I don't know, I was just seeing, I don't know, just the difference between people that just don't care about life and the consideration of other people, not even their own children. And then those children still being soft, and then those children over there not being soft and being hard and brazen, even though both sets of parents were full blown in sinner mode, I guess you could say, whatever. Like, but you could see the difference between the children. Some children just have something unique inside of them, and I believe that that's where God's hand is on some of those kids, and we can intercept and try to continue to deposit so that they can make
I
their
would
way.
agree with that. As we move to 42, do you think that children like that? Children that are not reflections of their parents, we'll put it that way. Are they, in your mind, in your belief, in your thoughts, do you believe that those are better candidates for being grafted in
Yeah,
to the vine?
I think all of them better candidates in a fashion. Yeah, maybe for timing, like for the timing, meaning like the other ones might be completely shattered and broken at 45, 50 before they find, but better candidates in the moment for timing. Yes. So if
Better
we can
candidates
seize those, yeah, in those
early.
moments. Yeah.
Early candidates.
Early candidates. Yeah, absolutely I do. And then
Okay.
it's our job to intercept. Our responsibility, I think.
Yep. Well, he'll use us how he sees
Yeah.
fit.
Yeah.
So 42 continues along these same lines, but it's the giving us the stuff to not be shamefaced about. Don't be ashamed, right? And the very first one, right? Well, it says, of these things, don't be ashamed and accept no person to sin by these. But the number one thing of the law of the Most High, right? And his covenant and of judgment to justify the ungodly. That's like all number one. And then it goes into some other things that we've talked about before, right? The don't be ashamed about reckoning with your partners or travelers, or of the gift of the heritage of friends, or the exactness of balance and weights, or of getting much or little, right? Don't be ashamed. Sometimes you're going to get a bounty and sometimes you're not.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of goes to what Paul was talking about with, I can't think of the exact place, but he's talking about, sometimes I have feast, sometimes I don't have feast, sometimes I have a place to sleep, sometimes I don't. I said, but no matter what, it's all a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't gauge anything by the much and the little that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. There's no need to do that. Yeah, I like that. Don't be ashamed of merchants' indifferent selling. They're there to sell.
Mm-hmm.
Or of much correction of children. Don't be ashamed to correct children a whole bunch if they need it. Okay, so what jumped out at you?
Oh, for me, it was like these whole 1 through 7, because this is directions on how to govern your own house.
How to govern your house.
Yep.
Okay, so it's funny how that keeps popping up, huh? 9 through 11 jumps out at me. How to take care of your daughters, to be, don't be letting them be promiscuous. Let them grow up, have a husband, a good husband.
Or let her be violated, not necessarily the issue of promiscuity, but the issue of being vulnerable and being taken advantage of.
Yeah, don't let that. Protect them.
Yeah.
It talks about losing the sleep over them. Okay, what's churlish?
Didn't we look this up before?
Being rude in a mean-spirited and surly way.
Surely.
Yeah.
Surely.
Yep. Better is the churlishness of a man than a courteous woman. Yikes. A woman, I say, which bringeth shame and reproach.
Oh, it would be great to read scripture that would say, oh, the men that are just pigs that like to bark at women as they walk by. Stay away from dickheads like that.
Doesn't it?
Is there a book written like that somewhere that we could
Doesn't it say that?
Capital.
It does.
Doesn't
Yeah.
doesn't it say how to not treat your neighbor's wife?
Oh, where
Doesn't it say not to
that one or
fornicate?
2 or 3 scriptures. Yeah,
That's
I've
all
read
men
those.
need. There's 3 scriptures.
I know. Just sorry.
No, I actually think the scriptures come down harder on the men than they just had to throw that in there every once in a while for the women. It's like, oh, we haven't forgot about you.
Did you have some real acidic coffee with your bitter this morning?
I think it's just it's culturally normal to read scriptures that are like that, but I think just as much as women can be whores, so can men. I mean, I think men's virginity and men's sanctity can also be very, very important and precious as well because of what it can represent. I don't know. I
Well,
think that there's beauty
yes.
on both sides.
Why doesn't it talk about? It doesn't. You can think about all those scriptures, right? When it says not to steal, not to lie, not to fornicate, it doesn't give you a gender on that.
Yeah.
So does that mean it's only talking to men because it doesn't mention women?
No, I'm just saying in the balanced form, right? Like, yeah, there's like this center guide that talks about the human race, but I think that it's just like talking about men as in the sense of when, for instance, like I'm thinking of Titanic for some reason right now.
Titanic?
Yeah, just as it's sinking, women and children first, women and children first. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm for me, I'm at I was like, what about the men? Like, let them all die and then have just men and women, or women and children survive, and then all the women and children survive without the men. That's good planning there. So I think that just society and cultural scenarios play into that over centuries and stuff. But I think I don't know. I think men need just as much protection as women do. I think men need just as much care and tenderness and all of this as women do. So
Right.
I think
You're raising your son. Sorry.
What?
When you're raising your son, you raise him differently than your daughters because you want to make sure that your son has empathy and you want to make sure that he understands women. So
right.
You teach your son differently. You're raising him. I was very careful with my son because I wanted him to be a good man that truly cared about other people. And I think I did a pretty good job with him.
Me too.
So, thank you.
Okay, so what else for chapter
42?
Yeah, that one.
I thought 12 was interesting. Back onto the talk.
Okay.
Scott, behold not every body's beauty, and sit not in the midst of women.
Right. Meaning, don't be a leerer.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, let's go to the beach and look at bikinis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go eat at Hooters.
Well, and sit not in the midst of women, that reminds me of like a ladies' man. Always hanging out with the girls.
Mm-hmm.
As a man who's been trapped in a large group of women before, and yes, that word is correct, that is some of the best advice in Scripture. You think drunken sailors have some words? No, don't get a large group of women together. You're going to be clawing at the door. Let me out. Okay.
I'm not going to say anything to that.
Okay. I find this interesting in, it's praising Abba's works at the end of this chapter. At 24, it says, all things are double, one against another, and he hath made nothing imperfect. Right?
Does that mean that for every good thing there's a bad thing? Or
No, I don't think so. Because remember when we read, was it last week? It was talking about he makes everything. To the sinner, it is a curse, and to the faithful, it's a blessing. So that. So then what happens? Let's take that a step further. What happens when you're unequally yoked? And you get something. You get the one thing with the person you're unequally yoked with. To you, it's supposed to be a blessing. To them, it's going to be a curse. I can see where that causes all kinds of problems.
okay. Like when I got my Kirby.
You think
I love that video game?
It was a no, Kirby vacuum cleaner.
Right?
It was a blessing to me, Steve, but I remember him just going down on the floor and going, oh. I'm like, what? It was weird.
Do you think it's a mindset, or do you think it's like being, I don't know, because like, so I think of like some situations that I see as a blessing, other people see as a curse or a bad thing.
Right.
So do you think it's a mindset, or do you think it's like literally like, I don't know, like take weather, for instance, where we were talking about a couple weeks ago, where it was used as a curse or a blessing, do you think it's like literally like rain in one spot could like flood out someone's house and push it away? Do you think it goes as far as that, being a curse or a curse there, and then someone next door, possibly just getting
The rain they need.
Or do you think it's just like both are getting the same thing? Somehow
they're both getting the same thing. I don't know.
Think either of them would. I don't think one of them, that one that his house is swept away, would be considered a curse necessarily.
Right. What if it was rat infested?
Yeah, like it could be.
We finally got rid of those roaches.
Neighbor, he could.
I think that's why it's important, not like when we're saying, like when we were talking about in 41, like it's important not to judge, or not to like, just because you have a lot or just because you have a little, just because your house just swept down the thing doesn't mean you're cursed. Just because you got water doesn't mean you're blessed. Well, it could be, but it is a mindset, I think. I don't
want to use the term mindset, but I would rather use the term thankful or ungrateful.
Which comes from the mind.
Because you can have, or the heart.
Yeah, that's
what you can have a group, the same group of believers, right? If you look at the Israelites in the wilderness, they all received manna, and some were like, "Woohoo! Look at this! I'm making a angel food cake," and other ones were like, "Bread again?
Where's my flesh pots?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
I miss Taco Bell.
Oh.
I don't want to leave here. I got Hardee's right down the street.
Hardee's.
I know we don't have Hardee's anymore.
Pull it out here. Carl's Jr.
It's Carl's Jr. out here. Yeah.
In the green burrito.
Oh. Burrito.
I don't know. Okay. Anyways, let's move on. Let's go to 43 and talk about the mindset there. All right. Oh my! And this is praising his creation
Mhm.
to start off. His works.
My mother taught me how to see his works. Her brother taught her to see his works.
Oops.
It's really interesting, the analogies, like the comparisons in
Let's see.
this particular, what's it called? Is it called an analogy? There's another word for it.
The comparison.
No, there's another kind of
Come on,
fancy
Sarah, what's
schmancy word.
the English term? English language term. GR knows.
Like I'm not gonna. There's probably stuff in between, but like when it says in verse 17, as birds are flying, he scatters the snow and the
Mhm.
falling down thereof as the lightning of grasshoppers. Like, what are you talking about? Grasshoppers and lightning and snow and birds.
And what verse was that?
Verse 17.
17.
Yeah.
Well,
Just like,
grasshoppers, they kind of land silent. It's kind of silent, and they just kind of fall out of nowhere. It seems like.
yeah,
No,
it's
so-
just like I like how they're grabbing onto these two like options and then bringing something that could have similarities or whatever. It's just interesting.
Right.
It's like reading a Chinese proverb or something. It's like, wow, how do you get those two to connect? Like, what's in common there? And then you have to like study the theology of understanding why do grasshoppers and lightning, like what's going on?
No, it's not lightning. It's lighting.
Lighting.
Lighting of grasshoppers. Yeah,
When they land. Now, how did they come up with that?
I know, right?
When something lands, it's
Grasshoppers, they're going to land on the side of the wall. They're going to land upside down. They kind of land wherever. So sometimes when snow is swirling, it just kind of lands wherever.
But
GR
it's
wants to know.
lighting the grasshoppers.
GR wants to know, could this be prophetic?
Oh,
No, absolutely not.
maybe we're missing something.
Well, at his sight, yeah, I think it is prophetic. At his sight, the mountains are shaken, and at his will, the south wind bloweth. The noise of the thunder maketh the earth to tremble. So doth the northern storm and the whirlwind. As birds flying, he scattereth the snow, and the falling down thereof is as the lighting of grasshoppers. I don't know. We're going to see some things that we never even imagined at his return, or when we die and go to be in his physical presence. Presence. You know, it's going to be
Incredible.
well, yeah, it's going to be beyond description. Look at the things that the prophets described and saw and were shown, and we get a hint of it, but it's not doesn't prepare you. Doesn't prepare you at all. Okay.
I thought it was interesting that in 7, it says that the moon is the sign of feasts. And then I thought it was interesting in 17, or wait, not 17, sorry, 13, that it says, and sends swiftly the lightnings of his judgment. Like lightning is possibly his judgment.
Interesting.
What did you say, Matt? Like lightnings? You were thinking that lightnings would be his judgment?
Yeah, because it says, by his commandment he makes the snow fall a space and sends swiftly the lightnings of his judgment.
I think maybe it's more of an allegory, like, because, like, what Lynn was saying too, like how lightning comes, you don't know where necessarily where it's going to come in the avenue in which it's going to, the path it's going to take, and then where it's going to land, right? So maybe it's a bit more of an allegory of the functioning of how lightning functions. It's
You
fast,
mean
and
how fast it is?
and then the path, like you don't know, right? By his
Right.
commandments, like the snow to fall a space. So you don't know necessarily where each snowflake is going to fall either, and the path that
Right.
so
Sometimes it's slow and fluttery,
yeah,
and sometimes it's rapid
and sometimes
and quick.
yeah, maybe
And
it's
yeah,
that.
I can totally see that. And it's interesting because there's been prayers answered recently that came from nobody expected that direction. Nobody expected it to come from there. Nobody even had there identified as a possibility. And then, there's nothing you can do except praise Abba for that, because
Yeah, it's like a hit and miss. Sometimes it can be literal.
yeah, and
Abba can use lightning to like spank
that
someone,
that
or just literally.
that that goes back to the mindset, or the heart, or the faithfulness thing again, because I've seen people get a miracle for which they were praying, get an answer to their prayer, but it wasn't from the direction that they were asking for it to come from. So they said, no, that's not the answer to my prayer, so I'm going to refuse it. And it's like, well, you're cursing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That, well, I understand it's him, that he opens our eyes and our ears. That is him. It's
Mm-hmm.
all him. It's all him. He's the reason we see. He's the reason we hear. But that
Mm-hmm.
just blows my mind, though, when people get
Or
that.
he's the reason that we don't see, and he's the reason we don't hear.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, to an extent. I mean, he hardened Pharaoh's heart, but then in the middle of all that, it says Pharaoh hardened his own heart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's also like it is a hit and miss. Like I think we just don't know. Like we have people that pray their whole life, and their heart and their intentions are good, and they never get it. It never comes.
Right? What's that
Right.
verse, Matt? It talks about it talks about the athlete, and it talks about the poor man, and it talks about the rich man, and it talks about the sluggard. But then it says, in the end, chance, plays a part in everything they get, or something like that. But if it's funny, because someone had asked me about it, and I said, I think that would more accurately be, being in the right place at the right time. And then they looked it up on like Blue Letter Bible, where they had like 10 different translations. And one of the translations said that, and the way you're talking about it, Gwen, I kind of can see we got this snow flurry of
Mm-hmm.
blessings and lightning
Mm-hmm.
going around. And it's just a matter if you're in the right spot where that flake goes. Boop.
And if like the thing that I'm going through presently, it like trying to figure out now how to navigate those moments in a completely unique way, like a way that I'd never thought I would ever try to comprehend, like all the things that I've said about Abba's blessing or Abba's provision or his protection, or it like the sun shines on the good and the wicked, the rain falls on the good and the wicked, and I think, yeah, I think it's merciful. Like yesterday I was saying in a conversation, I am right now, presently, thankfully I'm in this mental space. I'm really glad that Yeshua has not come back yet. I'm really glad today that he's not here yet. Not gonna lie, I don't want him to show up today. I mean, I don't, because I like just in my human form, not thinking spiritually as much as I'm thinking, okay, I'm really glad that his timing is perfect and that his timing isn't in 5 minutes from now.
But boils down to his mercy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm glad. That's exactly how I said it. Like, I'm glad right now I'm seeing it as mercy. Some people are like, I can't wait till, like, I wish he would come right now. And because they're in that state of mind, but I'm thinking, because of the state of mind and what I'm going through, I'm like, I'm really glad. And then I'll use the phrase, I'm really glad he's waiting. And he's not waiting. I mean, he's not waiting for me or anybody. I'm really glad his timing is allotting Gwen an opportunity to get her ducks in a row. I'm glad for that. That's where I'm at right now.
Amen. Okay,
Amen.
What else for 43? What else?
27.
Okay. And that we have been coming to this conclusion very much. We may speak much and yet come short. Wherefore, in sum, right, the end of the matter, he is all. It's all about him. He is everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's all him.
Exactly. It is.
And goes to Jesus, Yeshua, saying, he who doesn't receive the kingdom like a little child, like this little child, and if you think about that little child, when their father says, hold on a minute, just step over here, get out of the way, there, stay right there for a second, and then gets the impossible done for that child to just be able to live their life.
Well, I was thinking too, like going forward a little bit, like who has seen, verse 31, who has seen him that he might tell us, and who can magnify him as he is? Mm-hmm. Like, so those people those people, whoever those people are,
you can't,
they, them, but like those people that we think might appear and might actually be and seem much more intimate or much closer to Yahuwah. And then, you want to evaluate Gwen's position and how sometimes you seem not quite as close as someone else is because of what it appears like. But who can really magnify him as he is, who he is? Like,
how can you magnify to make?
You can't measure. There's just no way. No amount of great praise, no amount of wondrous prayers offered. No, there is no 100 isn't enough. 10 isn't enough, or the other way. 10 is enough. 100 is enough. 1,000,000 is enough. 2 is enough. Like, there is no amount that says that it's the quota, because we're all going to come up short, right? Anyways, I'm using this as an encouragement for me. Now I got to say good morning to my baby. She just woke up. So
good morning, baby.
Good morning, baby.
Bueno. Okay.
And she's right, because I could never think of enough words to, you're awesome, wonderful, awesome, amazing, and it'd be all the same words over and over again.
Yeah.
Because I can't think of any other words that can really glorify him for who he is. you know? And
Yep.
so when I'm doing this and this tells us to do that, do it with all your strength, do it
Yep.
as much as you can, you know, get it out there.
You know,
So
in that,
from inside.
you know, can you imagine? We can imagine it, but I mean, what was it like for John or Nathaniel, right? The ones that so quickly realized that Jesus Yeshua was God in the flesh, that promised person, you know, that promised promise. Who's echoing?
I don't know. I never moved anything.
Anyways,
Like,
you know, it's just mind blowing. And you weren't expecting that. It went out the side instead of this way. Okay.
I have a little testimony just now.
Okay.
I need to grab on every little snowflake right now for me. But when this autumn came in, and when I muted and took off the video, she came to see what I was doing, and she's like, "Oh, you're doing that again." I said, "I'm giving it a try," and then she just kind of snuggled up. "That's great. I love you, Mom," and some hugs and kisses and stuff. So anyway, that was like just the transfer of how kids are. Anyway.
So she melted your snowflake?
Yeah. Yeah. It was just a blessing to see the ripple effect of decisions and choices, even if it's, you know, I'm not all underwater right now, but
right.
Just I don't know. I'm just grabbing onto all of those little tiny little moments so that I can build myself a bridge. So
even if it is out of toothpicks.
Exactly. And then maybe Abba will add some crazy glue because he's merciful. I hope he's
okay. Let's go to the Lester Moore chapter.
Okay.
Wrong John.
Yeah.
Not John the Baptist. In the beginning was the Word, that John. Okay, anyways. Now what is this?
Yeah, what is that?
That
exactly?
Let us now praise famous men and our fathers that begat us. Okay, I don't
the word
think
praise is it's not praise. It's just like, remember these, like, let's celebrate these guys that came before us.
What does yours say? What's your translation say?
Mine does too. Mine's the Sefer, and mine says that too. It doesn't say worship. It says praise. Like, you can praise someone,
right,
but not worship them. So I think praise maybe could be an okay word, but just not understood by some people that may not understand. But
so I find that amazing, though. And I don't believe this is talking about
idolizing him.
Yeah.
No, I don't think this is talking about actors or rock musicians.
It's talking about Zechariah, and it's talking about,
right,
Aaron
Charles Spurgeon, right?
Yeah.
People that had a fire in their belly for Yah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that their every waking moment was to grow the kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
That
I don't know if it was their every waking moment.
Who's that dude that you like, Matt? Is it Wilkins?
Yeah, David
Wilkerson. I like him too.
David Wilkerson.
Harmony likes him too. She's like, "Can I fall asleep to that guy?" I'm like, "Yeah, babe. Like, sure. Just press him on replay." I know.
And then, who's that other guy? The old English dude.
Mm-hmm.
Can't
that
think
guy.
of it. I think he's dead now.
Leonard
Wigglesworth.
I want to say Prince, but I don't think that's correct.
Wigglesworth?
Oh,
C.S. Lewis?
No, not C.S. Lewis.
Controversial dude.
Eric Prince, maybe.
Eric Prince.
Fine, I'll look it up.
You better just look it up because
Never heard of that guy before.
There's two Derek Princes.
Derek Prince.
One's the older gentleman who's dead now, and then there's
that's the guy. Then there's the new
Asian
fake. Okay, sorry.
Come on now, be careful.
The new guy who comes up with his own doctrine without quoting any scripture and flies a jet.
Mhm.
That guy.
If we hadn't.
Yep. Yes. Sure. Now that we told you. Okay. Anyways.
We said it 5 times already because we just weren't sure.
Yep.
Oh, it's so hot.
All right. So,
Okay.
yeah, and this qualifies the statement of the famous men, right? Those
Yeah,
who,
Noah.
such as did bear
Abraham.
rule in the kingdoms, men renowned for their power, giving counsel by their understanding, and declaring prophecies, right? What is prophecy? The spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus.
Mhm.
Mhm.
What? No, it isn't. It's being able to tell, who is that? Have you seen these videos that people are publishing? There was an episode of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air that prophesied that Donald Trump is going to die on April 15th. I mean, July 22nd. I mean, what? Yeah, Matt, you know what I'm talking about.
The Simpsons. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The Simpsons predicted this.
Especially the Simpsons.
Yeah. Well, when you cover absolutely everything facetiously and sarcastically, possible.
You're gonna hit the nail every once in a while.
Yeah. That's how I feel about that one dude that's supposedly a prophet that plays the piano and babbles. He's dead now, but
Yeah.
the thing is, he would play the piano for like 4 to 8 hours and just say things, blah blah blah.
Okay, but hang on a second. Let's stop talking about other people.
I just want to point out.
I know he's a dead person and he made mistakes just like Gwen does. So
Yeah.
I don't want to yak about.
Do you do that? No, you don't.
I don't want to yak about other people that have made mistakes.
He made a mistake, but the thing is, he's dragging people with him. He's a blind.
He's dead.
Blind.
And his family now is dragging people with him.
Right.
Yep.
Fair enough.
And you're supposed to call out the false prophets.
Out.
Okay, then go call them out.
We did.
I did.
When?
Right now.
The prophet just now.
Who are we talking about?
And I'm saying the prophet, we're told what the spirit of prophecy is. It's the testimony of Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
In heaven and in earth.
Agreed. Agreed.
Okay, so what's next? Merciful men. They were righteous, whose righteousness has not been forgotten. But Gwen, thank you for keeping me feet on the path. I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll send you a sock later.
Thanks.
I'll send you one too.
They won't match. I hope.
No.
I hope.
The one I'm sending you has.
We need to be consistent.
Yep. Yes, it looks like that is the case.
Verse 6
GR.
is it? Sorry.
In verse 16. Enoch is the first one named out of these people.
I like verse 6. Rich men furnished with ability, living peaceably in their habitations.
Yep.
So we don't have to look down on rich people.
There's some awesomely good rich people out there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not supposed to name names, apparently, but there's a company that makes winter wear And back in, I think, the 80s or 90s, their factory burned down.
Hmm.
And instead of just taking the insurance money and cashing out when everybody was moving overseas, they paid every factory worker, every employee full salary for the 6 months they were told it would take to rebuild the factory.
Mm.
And then at 5 months, they were told it's going to take us another 5 months.
Oh.
So they called a company meeting together. And they said, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you people. You're still going to get full salary until the factory's rebuilt.
Okay, name names, please. Now I'm really.
It's taking the hard road, just like paying back somebody. Like, if you what is it? Somewhere in Scripture it talks about, like, if someone else, if your cattle or if your cow just goes over there and dies over there, then that person has to pay that other person back. Like, just taking responsibility. Like, if I take care of somebody's dog, or if I'm taking care of somebody's house and something happens, I'm going to take responsibility as if it's mine and I should pay, like just taking the higher road and stuff. And it's harder. The higher road isn't always easy, but it's not about trying to squeak out without as many scrapes as possible. It's about taking, even if you end up with 3 pennies in your pocket, at least you've paid your workers.
That's right. Honorable.
Loyalty above honor, yeah.
Loyalty above honor.
Or no, the other way, honor above
Honor
loyalty.
above loyalty?
That's what I meant to say. Yeah. Because you can have loyalty, but if you don't have honor, like I was trying to describe this to the lady that was, I had an appointment with a lady yesterday, and she was talking about how she's serving these people in the Salvation Army and how she's very stimulated by, like, she's dealing with people that are in transition from becoming clean, establishing themselves, and then going into housing. But she's listening to some of their stories, and she's stimulated in the sense where she's like being drawn into these men, right? And she's seeing them as stoic and seeing them as strong and all of these other things in comparison to these other men that she's encountered. And I said, okay. She's like, and they have such a strong sense of loyalty. And I'm like, okay, hang on a second, but they don't have honor. You can have a strong sense of loyalty, but if you don't have honor, then you've missed the boat. So loyalty can appear like honorable, but it's not. Well, you can be loyal to the wrong cause. You can be loyal to the wrong perceptions, but being honorable is a completely different.
That sounds un-American.
Does it? I wouldn't know. I'm not American. But yeah, so I was just trying to redirect her thinking that just because loyalty seems stoic and seems self-controlled, that like these people they don't have honor yet in their makeup yet, honoring themselves, honoring other people, honoring a cause, honoring the process. So anyway, I don't know why. Blah, 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 blah.
A lot of people that don't have honor today.
Yeah.
So then it goes into later down, goes into Abraham.
Isaac. Yeah, Abraham.
Right? Well, it's interesting though, because it talks about Noah, goes Enoch, Noah, Abraham, and it says in 20, who kept the law of the Most High and was in covenant with him. He established the covenant in his flesh, right, the circumcision, and when he was proved, he was found faithful.
Mm.
And that goes to both what Paul was talking about and what James was talking about, that the obedience and the faithfulness are hand in hand. They're
Mm-hmm.
You can't have the faith. I have faith.
Mm.
And then say, I don't have to follow no law or commandments.
Mm. You can be real smart and stupid at the same time.
Well, you can, the thing is, we're told that by necessity there was a change to the law when Christ became our high priest, right? That change was to the priesthood.
Yeah.
And to the sacrifices. It doesn't talk about anything else being wiped out. We're told about weightier matters of the law, because for every law that's written, there's another side to that that's there, right? Like you were just talking about the cow going into someone else's property. You're told to hang on to your neighbor's cow.
Mm-hmm.
Hold your neighbor's cow until you find your neighbor.
I'd have a lot of cows.
Yeah. But that
Better hold on to them until they come and get those.
Yeah.
So it's like if your neighbor has lots of cows, you have to make sure that you have all the supplies for your neighbor's cows just in case they cross over.
well, they'll be recompensed, right? But what if that particular cow was marked
Yeah.
for the sale to pay for their
Exactly.
daughter's medical treatment?
Exactly.
Or you just say, I'm sick of this cow, I'm going to slaughter it. And now
It's also preferring your brother, like taking care of each other. You are a community. You are not singular.
You know what's interesting is that, like, before Torah, I just thought wickedness was like somebody like sacrificing babies, doing openly like morally wrong stuff, right? But it seems like it's just someone who doesn't follow the Torah, follow the laws, is wicked. I noticed that back in 41, when that verse 8, woe unto the wicked men which have forsaken the Torah.
Quinn says, let me go back a couple of verses. Matt's all, here, hold my root beer.
Yeah.
Right. And I even underlined that one. So
I think it's like the thing that's written on our heart, right? Like when you forsake something, I don't think it's just that you've walked away from like, I think it's something that you've forsaken soulfully, spiritually, because before Yeshua, there still was the spirit of truth and the spirit of prophecy, and all of those things existed before Yeshua too. But I think that it was the heart thing. I think that the wicked men or women were the ones that in their heart turned away, not just, circumstantial scenarios or whatever. Like, it's something that's happened in your soul. You've forsaken it. You've just said, what's wrong with worshiping Baal and, the God of Abraham? What's wrong with that? Like you start to forsake the intimacy of the relationship that Abba has with his creation. You've forsaken that. So I think that's the Torah right there, in part. Like, I'm not saying all encompassing, of course, but
what do you think about sorry.
No, I'm done.
What do you think about people that are like, well, I prayed about it and asked God to show me, if I should not be buying and selling on the Sabbath, but he just hasn't shown me. So I just do it.
Well, I'm going to give my belief on that. My belief is it's spelled out in plain English.
he hasn't shown you because you haven't read it.
And you can rationalize away anything you want, right? We've seen people rationalize away bans against being with someone of your same sex. Well, that didn't apply to people that love each other. That applies only to people that are involved in ceremonial idol worship. But if you're doing it in the name of Jesus, it's okay. No. You can twist and warp anything that's written for whatever you want. And when something's super obvious, for at least my experiences, and I pray for guidance on it because I want to do it wrong, because I want to go this way and his way is this way, I don't get an answer because I already know.
I think in part too, like my take on it would be someone that, if someone's in transition, in like they're trying to figure it out, right? Like it, like this isn't this is just a generality, I guess. You can tell the people that are trying to figure it out, they have a different kind of heart posture. So they might be like, I'm not sure if I am or not. And then the other person, well, I mean, I've prayed and I've asked, and I don't see that God is asking me to do anything. Or you see someone, or you're hearing someone saying, I don't know, I'm not sure. So they still sometimes buy and sell. They still sometimes do this, but they're working it out. You can tell their heart posture, right? So, I mean, are we both still breaking Abba's instructions? Yeah. Just like, for instance, like this one time, I didn't prepare well enough, and I was traveling more than 2 kilometers on a Shabbat, and
What's
I had anyways, so I didn't prepare well enough, and I needed to fill in gas because I was going to run out and I wasn't going to make it to my destination. Or there was that one time, or one of our animals had an emergency and we needed to bring them into the vet. And the girls were crying for 2 reasons. One, because we were going to now cause someone to work on Shabbat, and we were going to pay for a service. And I was mortified because it was an emergency. Now, was it still breaking Shabbat? Yeah. When you're in an ambulance, or when you're in the hospital, or let's say you have a baby on a Shabbat, like whatever it is, like I think
Blasphemy.
that there's grace, but it doesn't mean you should like enter it. Well, I'll be okay. Just sprinkle myself with some holy water and Abba will forgive me. There is still like a heart posture. Like, yes, this is still kind of because of scenarios breaking Abba's instructions, but you're not purposely trying to do it. And you happen to break it, but you still broke it. So me and the girls prayed, say, let's just pray Abba to forgive us and wash us. He's not condemning us, but we still have to have a heart that's softer towards Abba's instructions. Then you have someone like, I prayed and God's like hasn't said anything, so I'm still gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
It's different.
So
you can tell the person's heart is soft or not towards Abba's instructions.
Anyways,
that's my around the bush explanation to whatever Matt was talking about.
That's a big bush.
Matt, use your discernment.
Listen, my bushes and my mountains are very big. Takes a long time.
You are.
I love your.
Are you shaking your head at me, Matt? Was that too long?
No, he's talking about something else.
Oh. Okay.
Anyways, yeah. Let's see.
I'll keep it shorter next time.
Gets down to Isaac, and then we go to chapter 45, and it starts talking about Moses.
Mm-hmm.
Capitula 45. Proper Spanglish. Right? So this talks about, how does it describe him? His faithfulness and meekness, talking about Moses.
Meekness. Moses was meek, eh?
Mm-hmm. Was
he?
Yes.
I think if we get rid of the Charlton Heston vision.
Because remember how he told Abba, I can't speak to people.
That's
Nobody's
not
going
meek. That's insecure. That's not meek. That's insecure.
It also comes from a place of meekness. He didn't feel like anybody was going to listen to him.
That's insecurity. Meekness is actually a beautiful thing. Yeshua was meek.
Right. His thought process is, who am I that anybody's going to listen to me, even if I tell them it's your words, Abba?
Well, what is the definition of meekness?
Well, it up, shall we?
Let's do it. I think Moses was, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Got a really
I
bad
would-
temper.
I don't
You
think
know?
so. I think he was more insecure than anything else.
I think he was a chiseled.
Quiet, gentle, and easily imposed on.
Yeah.
Submissive.
Yeah. He was a people pleaser, which is a strength and a weakness.
Hmm.
He was a good choice. Abba made a good choice, but just saying.
Submissiveness.
Submissiveness. There you go, right there.
I don't think he was submissive. I think he was just, well, yes, he was submissive. I don't think he was like rebellious in a sense. But
Patient, long-suffering, forbearing, resigned, gentle, quiet, shy, retired, shy, quiet.
yeah, but you have personalities are like that. Like I want to say Matt's like that.
He
Look
does.
at this.
Like I think it's a personality thing too. I think
When Korah came with all his beboppers and they complained to Moses, why are you the one that gets to talk to God? We should be the ones to be able to do this.
like
Moses didn't
boneheads,
he didn't speak for himself. He fell on his face
yeah.
and said, if I'm doing that, Abba, please forgive me. Yah. If that is what I'm doing, forgive me. And then, that's a
Humility.
special type of humbleness when somebody is angry with you and you say,
have arrogance.
Wrong. Am I wrong? Yeah, he's not arrogant.
Wrong. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. Yeah.
And then God says, right? Like I was talking earlier about the pushing the little 3-year-old aside. He pushes Moses aside and says, hold on a second. We're going to open up the earth and swallow these folks.
Wait.
Right? What? Bueno.
She's coming in with her headphones and her switch, and she doesn't know that I was on. So just a minute.
Why am I muting? Okay. Anyways.
Trying to mute her.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it looks like we're done. Okay, I adjust.
Hi.
Bueno.
Okay, bye. Okay, bye.
Bye.
She doesn't look anything like you, Gwen.
I know.
She's starting to show signs of that she came out of my body.
She's like one of those nesting dolls. You open Gwen up and there's a medium-sized one, and then you open up that one and there's another one.
Her personality sure reflects her mother. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say, John. I'm not going to give you any more fuel.
Okay, so what about these honorable men that it's talking about, though? What do we see in them that's common? Don't call any man common. All right. Anyways.
They're human. And they all have issues.
They're all obedient.
Eventually.
Look at Phineas, the zeal he had. Isn't he the one that ran through the dude that picked up the Canaanite woman? Him and her javelin. Was that Phineas or was that someone else?
I don't know.
Phineas. Okay, you guys are burning out. What's going on?
Who's burning out?
Oh, can't think of what the name is. Not of the Greek.
I think that what they have in common is, number one, that they're human, and that number two, that Abba chose them specifically, not because they were, smelt better than the other person. Abba had a plan, and he chose who he wanted to choose, and he chose humans to do his work.
We don't know that, April, but according to this, Abraham was.
But Torah is also just Abba's guideline for like Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel and their babies. They were all following.
See,
It's not Torah. It's just in life's instructions for humankind. Torah was just given the name later on.
law. But here's the thing. The law, it says Abraham was following the law here.
Mm-hmm.
But then in the New Testament, it talks about the link between the obedience, right? The obedience to what they're told and following through the faith, right? The faith is the if, right? That big word. They're told, if you do this, then I will. And they believed it. They believed. I don't know. There may be. Okay. So let's go ahead and wrap it because everybody needs to do something apparently. Because we went down from 75 viewers. Okay, we went down from like 8 viewers to 4. So yeah, but hang out for a little bit, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Get some rest, heal up. That if we helped you, or we
Like,
did,
subscribe. Hit the little bell icon somewhere over here.
Over where?
Over there.
I don't know. Where the screen.
Yep. If we've been a blessing to you, bless someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyways, everybody, Lynn, Gwen, Matt, thanks for reading.
Mm-hmm.
I super appreciate it. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Love you all. We'll talk to you later.